All right, welcome everybody. We are live for Real Estate Radio, the pre-show. So this is a preview of what's coming up this Saturday at 9 a.m. With my buddy and co-host Dylan Kramer at Benchmark Mortgage. Dylan,
How are you, Larry? What's going on?
Everything's good, and happy to have you on for a quick 15-minute preview here of what we're going to be talking about this Saturday at 9 a.m. on 8:20 a.m. if on the dial if you're in the Chicago metro area, and if you're not, you can watch us on Facebook Live WCPT 820. WCPT 820 on Facebook Live, and also right here on YouTube. So also on TikTok. So we're everywhere. And Dylan, how's it going today?
I'm fantastic, Larry. I'm fantastic. How about you?
Good. Everything's going great. I am dressed, of course, in my workout garb. I'm going to work out here in about nice. Once we get off the line.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what we're going to talk about in this week's show, man. I thought we're going to, I'm excited because, usually we just get on and we have a couple ideas of what we're going to talk about. We're going to just kind of riff, right? And right. We've done this both long enough that we feel like we can riff and kind of add some value for folks. But I think it's going to be cool this week. We're going to be a little more deliberate and spend really the entire hour talking about house hacking and how to make that stuff happen. So yeah. I have some financial stuff to talk about, but I think, Larry, it's probably best if you take the lead on and just tell people a little bit about the philosophy of house hacking and how you help people when they're looking to do that from a real estate front, because financing is part of it, but getting the right real estate deal is also super critical, right?
Absolutely.
So when you're looking, especially, I think, there's a lot of types of house hacking, right? There you can rent rooms, you can add units. We're not going to talk about any of that. We're going to talk about the two things I think that are the most common in the Chicago market, right? Which is multifamily, which everybody wants to do, and that you can live in it and flip it. And so right. Talk to me a little bit. As a matter of fact, before, without naming names, before we opened up this live, you were talking about a particular client who's struggling to sell their listing because the condition, right? It's dated, it needs work. Let's talk about that particular piece of property, even if it wasn't your client on the listing side. If you were representing a potential buyer who was looking at, hey, I want to get involved in owning real estate and house hacking, would that type of property be a target? And if so, how, and how would you recommend going about it?
Well, this particular property probably wouldn't be a good house hack candidate.
Tell me why.
And yeah, so the reason for that is, first of all, right now we're priced at $379. So we're in a good place as far as price if the property was updated and in average marketing condition. The problem is the whole kitchen needs to be rehabbed. It's right, in operable condition and all that kind of good stuff, but it all needs to be rehabbed from the cabinets out, including the flooring, which, it's not bad ceramic flooring, but it's something someone's probably going to change. Someone's probably going to come in and possibly knock one wall down in particular to open up the floor plan. But in addition, it's going to need all new doors. It's going to need all new trim. It's going to need the floors redone, which are nice hardwood floors, but they're going to be, someone's going to have to come in and refinish them. And there's some good things about it. It has a great whole house fan in it, so you really don't need to use your air conditioning much. It has a really nice detached 2-car garage, nice backyard, but we're priced right now if we were in the right average marketing condition. So the problem is it's not really a good candidate for a house hack.
It's not a good value creation is what you're saying.
It's not a good value creation. There's not enough room in it.
So if you were ballparking, Larry, how much, and really just quick and easy, ballpark, how much dollar work needs to go into this house, right? Which they're asking 379 for now. And because I think that this is relevant for people who are looking at hacking. And I think we got to go deep on Saturday. So ballpark, 50 grand, 100 grand.
I could easily put 50 grand into this property.
Okay.
Without any problem whatsoever.
And if we sold it, it's they're asking 379, right? So let's say that's a fair price for the house when finished. Honestly, if I'm looking to do a live-in flip, right, which you can do, and there are really two big areas, right? The first one is financially. You can move into a place, and as long as you live in it for a year, then you could buy it 5% down, keep all your money, do your rehab, do 50 grand in rehab over the course of a year, and then sell it. But if it's worth 379 fully done, let's say the market's flat for the purpose of this, and in a year it's going to be worth 379 when I do all the work. I got to live in a project house for a year, right? If I'm the buyer and I'm going to hack this house. So I'm going to live there for a year. I'm going to put 5% down and then put 50% in. Well, 5% of 379, 380 is 19 grand plus 50 for the work. That's 70. Plus I need the closing costs, right? So maybe 75. So I need 75 grand to get into this house, but I don't want to buy it for 50 grand in work. I can't buy it for 329, right? I mean, I could, but I'm not going to make any money. And by the time I fix it up, then I'm leaving. So I don't really make money. I got to get it. If I'm hacking, right, I got to get that property for 379 minus the 50, minus a little cushion for the work, minus a little money for me living with that headache, right? Like, I can't afford to pay maybe more than $300,000 for that.
That's 100% correct.
Okay. So, I mean, that's the thing about having a real estate professional in your corner, right? Because Larry, when I hear you doing this, what I hear is that you're able to sit there with your hat on as a seller's representative and be like, look, we're asking 379. We know you can get it worked out. We know we're holding on to the right price. I'm going to represent that client and I'm going to hold that hat as a seller representative. But if you take that theoretical other hat, here, let me do this, put this other hat on and come in and represent the buyer, right? Then you're in a situation where you're like, well, we can't make this math work that works for the seller. It's this math over here.
There it is. Cubbies win yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. And I think that that's the most interesting thing is that you have the professional capacity to be like, look, I understand I'm representing this person, but I intellectually understand where the buyers are coming from. And that can sometimes be a difficult conversation for sellers to hear, but we're talking about house hacking, right? And so if you're going to live and flip, you have to turn around. You can't get overwhelmed by the potential, right? You have to buy on real numbers that exist today. If that house, if you bought it and appreciated to 399 in the next year, that's gravy. Yeah. Because it's just as likely that prices pull back a little as it is that they go up from here, right? That's
absolutely right. And here's how most investors look at it. So when I'm investing in a property that I'm either going to flip or I'm going to, let's say it's a 3-flat, I'm going to buy it, move into one of the units, rent out the other 2. The way investors typically look at this is a 70% rule. Some go as high as 75%. So what you're going to do is you need to buy that house for 70 to 75% of its ARV. After you've repaired that property, you need to get it for 70 to 75% of its ARV minus the repair costs.
Right.
So if we're talking about let's just say $400,000 house, that's what's 70% in your genius mind?
It's going to be $280,000. $280,000.
So where are we at?
280.
280. Okay, so 280, and you're going to have to put 50 into it. You need to get that house for 230.
Right. And your seller's never going to take 230, right? So that becomes an issue. Like, and look, that means that this house, it only means this. that house is not a target for a
For a
live
house
and
hack.
flip, right?
Yeah.
It's not a house hack for a live and flip.
No.
So, you gotta, if you're buying, this is why when we talk to people who are going to about house hacking, and when people say it's hard or it's hard to find properties, that's because the sellers are looking at different math. It just is. And that doesn't make your seller wrong, although your seller's struggling to sell currently. So I think they're going to have to get a little more religion on pricing. But more specifically, the price that works for a good live and flip is not a price that works. I told the story, it almost, God, I'm dating myself now. Almost 30 years ago, my brother and I bought a house on the Northwest side out of foreclosure. And it was so uncommon to have foreclosures in 1994.
Yeah.
And we were so technologically in the dark ages that the existing lien holder on the property came to closing in order to collect their proceeds in person, because they didn't trust the sellers to not walk off with the proceeds or talk to the title company or whatever the case is. And we bought it, and we were able to basically repair hardwood floors, redo the kitchens. It was a typical Chicago 2-flat, right, with a with a couple of really small closets. So we knocked out some walls and made a pantry and some other stuff, and we sold it a couple of years later. God, it's 30 years. We bought that house for $184,000 in 1994. And it had a third garden unit. So we redid the 2 units, the owners, and my brother lived in one and I lived in one. So we had really 2 owners units, but we rehabbed them over the course of a few years. We got a new roof out of the insurance company, which worked out great from a deferred maintenance standpoint. And we redid both kitchens and moved some walls around and sold it for $379 a few years later.
Right.
And so totally doable, but we found a really struggling seller who was willing to play ball with us on the price because they were going to lose the house. Now, is every seller going to lose the house? No, but are sellers motivated by their own causes to give you a decent price if you're going to do a live and flip? You bet. You just have to keep looking. I'll tell you, we looked 6 months to find that house. So what else can you tell us, Larry, about house hacking?
Well,
what do you think the most important thing is?
What you just explained was how a lot of wholesalers go about this. And that is, wholesalers look for properties that are in distressed situations. Either they need too much work that the current owner can't afford to do, right, in order to get it in that average marketing condition and get their money out of the house.
Right.
Or it might be going into foreclosure, or it might be a short sale, and the seller just wants to get out somewhat whole,
right,
but can't afford to stay there anymore. So they need another option. That's where wholesalers actually fill a niche in this market.
Sure.
So, but as far as house hacking goes, in the last year, I've sold 2 flats, 3 flats, and 4 flats where the person buying it was hacking that property. They were moving into one of the units, they were fixing up the other 2 or 3 units, and they were going to basically be living there for free.
I think that's a thing for us to do a big dive on Saturday, is the multi-unit hacking, right? I feel 100%. Like we've done a little bit of a dive here on live and flip, and then on Saturday, let's save a little for Saturday.
Yeah.
And we'll go deep on multi-unit house hacking. But if we spend most of Saturday's show on live and flip and on multi-unit, we'll cover 90 to 95% of people's questions about house hacking in the Chicago market.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important, because that's really where house hacking really becomes pretty well, can be very lucrative. And, your first step into real estate investing.
Absolutely.
And it's something that is out there for people, honestly, in their late 20s. You're looking to buy your first home. Instead of buying a single family home, think about looking at multifamily properties with 2 or 3 units and living in one of them virtually for free and having other people pay off your property.
Yeah. I think it's, I think it's absolutely the thing to do a deep dive on. I bet we're running it near our 15 minutes.
Yeah, 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 I think you're right. And so everybody remember, Saturday, 9 a.m., WCPT 820 on Facebook, right here on YouTube, and just follow me and you'll get notified every Saturday and also every Wednesday when we come on with these lives to preview the show. And of course, if you're in the Chicago market, just go to 8:20 a.m. and tune in. We'd love to have you guys. It's a full contact sport. You could reach us at 773-763-9278. Call in or text in at that number with any questions you have on house hacking. That's what we're going to be covering this week. And we'd love to have you guys. So tune in. Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right, Dylan, have an awesome day, man. And I will talk to you. I'm going to get a quick workout in.
Awesome. Go get them. All right,
Okay.
Larry, take it easy, man.
I'll
Talk
see
to
you,
you soon.
bud. Bye.
Yep. Bye.